Hey there, what is up guys? My name is Amir and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In the last few videos, we have been creating a data factory pipeline and also created a schedule trigger on top of it. Now in this video, I'll be talking about what a schedule trigger is. Also, when should we use a schedule trigger? So what are schedule triggers exactly? Schedule triggers work on a wall clock basis. That means that you can execute a pipeline periodically. You can set it to maybe minutes, hour, daily, even weekly. You can also select the days in a week or the days in the month. So that's a really good feature that schedule trigger has to offer. But before you select what type of trigger you have to use, you have to understand what these triggers are capable of. This video will help you in understanding what are the features of schedule triggers. So you can select your trigger type accordingly. When it comes to schedule trigger, backfill scenarios are something which is not supported. But what are backfill scenarios? So backfill scenarios, you can explain backfill scenarios as something where once a data factory pipeline is executed, it can only be executed on time periods from the current time and the future. So you cannot run a history load using a schedule trigger. The reason is because schedule triggers do not maintain a state. The next thing is the retry capabilities. So retry capability again is not supported in data factory. So if you have some issues or some failures due to maybe concurrency, server throttling limits, you cannot automatically retry your data factory pipelines using schedule trigger. Then concurrency. Concurrency again is something which is not supported. But what concurrency is parallel execution of a data factory pipeline. And when it comes to system variables, there are two different types of system variables. One is schedule time and the other one is start time. Data factory also supports many-to-many relationship. So what this has to say is if you have one trigger, it can be associated to many data factory pipelines, or one pipeline is executed by multiple triggers. Now let's take an example to understand what schedule triggers are. In this scenario, imagine that you have an SFTP location where a file is placed on a daily basis at 8 a.m. UTC. So you have to build a data factory pipeline. You have to copy the data from this SFTP location to your blob storage. And this is a full load scenario where this file on a daily basis is appended with the data and is placed in the same location. So in this case, what you can do is you can create a data factory pipeline, have a copy activity and point it to this SFTP location. And on a daily basis at 9 a.m., keeping 1 hour of buffer, set a schedule trigger, which will copy this file and move it to your blob storage. Now in this scenario, you see that even if a data factory pipeline fails today, in this scenario, if you see the concept of backfill does not apply because it will always be the case that this file in this location will be the latest file with all the data, and that's where you can use a schedule trigger. This is one example and a lot of examples as such. So let's back to our portal and see how we created a schedule trigger. So I already created the schedule trigger in the last video and I'll not be really creating this again. Let's just look at the properties of this trigger and also understand few other things that I missed in the last video. So here I am in my portal. We have this data factory pipeline called as copy mdata, which is copying an employee CSV file from the input folder to the output folder. I'll just head back to triggers. If you look at the properties of this trigger, the type is a schedule trigger and the start date is 12:23. Time zone is UTC. The recurrence is every 1 minute this pipeline will be running and the end time is 12:44. So from 12:33 till 12:44, this pipeline will be running on every minute. Now this recurrence is a very important topic that I would like to cover in this video. So I have set this to 1 at the moment, 1 minute. But if you can see that you have multiple options over here, you can set it to hour, days, week, months. And the good thing about data factory is that it helps you in even selecting the days at which you want to run. So if I select one day, you can specify at what time you want to execute. The default time will always be 12:23 because that is what we have set as the start date. If you switch from days to week, data factory will give you an option of selecting what days you want to execute this pipeline or schedule this pipeline and at what time the pipeline should be executed on that specific day. If you switch this back to month, you also have a full calendar. You can select the specific days of the month where you want to execute the pipeline. And you also have an option to select the last day of the month or any other days of that specific month. You can switch it back to weekdays and you can also specify the recurrence time, like first Sunday, second Sunday of that week. And that's really a great feature and that really helps you out in case if you have a specific requirement where the data factory pipeline has to be executed on a very specific condition. That's it from my side. Thank you for watching the video. I really hope this video helped you understand when you can use a schedule trigger and what are the applications and what are the features. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel hit the like button and also click on the bell icon for getting more notifications. If you still have questions, feel free to reach out to me on the comment box, or you can even directly message me on Twitter. That's it for this video, and talk to you guys in the next one.